Pokemon Masters, Birdkeeper Toby here. Thank you for clicking my video. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a very much a discussion piece. Get active in those comments. I know, it says the word controversy in the title. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be. This could just be like, you know, just get down there in the comments, be kind to each other, be considerate. Because today's topic is about something that I think will really rock the Pokemon fandom if and when it happens in the way that I suspect it will. Okay, are you ready? Here we go. So, of course, Pokemon Home is out now. It's awesome. I love being able to see my entire collection of Pokemon from right back in the day to where we are now with my entire living Pokedex and all of my Pokemon forms, doing my super special challenge, which I know many of you have taken on. To any of you new to the Discord server, hello, welcome. If you're interested in this challenge, I'll leave it linked below so you can find out more about it. Pokemon Home is wicked, and with as much storage as it has, it is a massive step up from Pokemon Bank, which when it came out, I was like, this is it. This is the future of Pokemon. There will always be a way to transfer our Pokemon into the future. Pokemon Generation 6 used Pokemon Bank, the Virtual Console games use Pokemon Bank, Generation 7 used Pokemon Bank, but Pokemon Home is not Pokemon Bank. They're not the same thing. In fact, Pokemon Home was announced about a year ago, and I've only really, with the release of it, started thinking about it. I always assumed that they would just bring Pokemon Bank to the Switch, which they have. It's called Pokemon Home now, but it's a different thing. Pokemon Home and Pokemon Bank are not the same thing. So what? What's the problem here? What do I think this controversy will be? Well, the controversy I think will come on the day that they decide to shut down the Nintendo 3DS eShop and shut down the servers for Pokemon Bank. Okay, so hold up here with me for a second. One of the big criticisms that people have hit on with, especially with Sword and Shield and the whole National Dex thing, yada yada, wherever you sit on that, whether you don't care, do care, or if you're just like me and like, I just buy the game for the game, whatever. The point is, one of the big points of controversy were people saying, but my teammates that I've been carrying over since Generation 3, I want to be able to see them on the Switch. And in order to get them from Ruby and Sapphire to Pokemon Sword and Shield, you have to stop via Pokemon Bank first. So what happens if Pokemon Bank disappears? Well, let me take you back to the days of 2002 when Pokemon Crystal was like a Christmas present that I had and coming up. There was Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire coming out, and I was so excited and a little bit confused when I realized that despite the fact that you could trade between physical copies of Pokemon Yellow, Red, Blue to Gold, Silver, and Crystal, you couldn't trade them up to Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. These games did not good friends make, and it makes sense. I mean, after all, Pokemon in these games, they have natures and abilities. Pokemon in these games is a lot more rudimentary. I think the stat system is a little bit different. It's definitely different by the time it gets to Generation 4. And you know what? This didn't really matter, because Pokemon Red and Blue were about to get remakes, and between Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, and Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, and Colosseum that was coming out on the GameCube, you'd have a way to get every Pokemon from Kanto through to Hoenn. So it really didn't matter that much. We were really talking about 6 years of history, and all of those Pokemon were recatchable. Generation 4 rolled round, and we had the PAL Park. All you would need is a DS or a DS Lite where you could put the game in here. These DSs aren't going anywhere. They're physical. There's millions of them out there in the world. They're relatively commonplace and easy to obtain, and relatively inexpensive as well. Great, cool. So we always have a way of getting our Pokemon from Generation 3 to Generation 4. And similarly, the way that you transfer Pokemon from Gen 4 to Gen 5 is through a local wireless thing. So as long as you have 2 Nintendo DSs, you're never gonna have a problem. But then they introduced Pokemon Bank as a kind of solution to everything, so they wouldn't have to keep on incorporating new features. Pokemon Bank came out, and rejoice, there would always be a future way, except again, Pokemon Home isn't Pokemon Bank. They brought out a new solution for the future. And what does that mean for Pokemon Bank? Well, Pokemon Bank is tied in with the Nintendo eShop. While they don't run on the exact same servers, I don't think. Certainly, when Nintendo decide no one's really playing a 3DS anymore, apart from to like, you know, retro game, and that they're pushing the Switch and the Switch Lite as their full movement, as it looks like they are. You know, we've got Pokemon Home now. Basically, any good game from the 3DS or Wii U is being reported onto the Switch. The Switch is several years in. The Switch is both the home and handheld console. When they decide it's time, they're gonna shut off those eShop servers. It doesn't matter how popular the 3DS is. The Wii was like massively popular, sold loads of units, and even that a few years ago got its servers shut down. Now, when that happened, a few things happened. Pokemon Ranch, an official Pokemon game that was a storage system much like Pokemon Bank, no longer became accessible. I can't today go on my Nintendo Wii. I mean, I can through hacks and people have methods of doing it, but there is no official channel by which I can plug in my Nintendo Wii, go to the Wii eShop, download Pokemon Ranch and play it. Pokemon Ranch and the Wii eShop are gone. There is no Wii eShop. It's disappeared forever. Once it was downloaded, if anyone's got it downloaded on their console, great. Don't delete it, because the moment you delete it, it's gone without the use of hacks and that kind of thing. Similarly, if Pokemon Bank were to go down, there's a couple things that we would lose from the 3DS eShop. For example, the Pokemon Dream Radar game. It's a relatively cheap 3DS title that allows you to get the Therian forms of Landorus, Tornadus, and Thundurus, and a couple of hidden ability Pokemon. Lugia, Ho-Oh, Giratina, Dialga, and Palkia, to name a few. And yeah, those are pretty unique Pokemon to get hold of. The moment the eShop is gone, there'll be no new way of downloading these games. If you've got them, great. Also, you can only actually play them the once through, which means once you can't just like delete the save data as far as I'm aware. You have to delete the software and re-download it. But if the eShop's gone, you can't re-download it, so it's done. Similarly, the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire demo that allow you to get hold of a special Glalie or Steelix if you're in Japan, or the Ash Greninja, again, once you've downloaded and done them, you've got to delete them and reinstall them to get those prizes over and over again. However, if there's no eShop to download from, then they're gone. They're just gone. Pokemon games that are gone from the universe, and in fact, this even extends to the virtual console copies of Red, Blue, and Yellow, and Gold, Silver, and Crystal. If you've got them downloaded, great, wonderful, they're there forever on your console. They're hardwired to the console or to the SD card. But if the eShop disappears and you delete them for any reason, you can't get them back. Also, the virtual console copies of Red, Blue, and Yellow, and Gold, Silver, and Crystal were kind of an answer to the fact that you could never transfer up from the original games. However, if Pokemon Bank goes down when the eShop goes down, well then you will no longer be able to transfer the Pokemon from the virtual console games to Pokemon Bank and thus on to Pokemon Sword and Shield or to Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It'll be much the same as it was back in 2002. Actually, Pokemon will exist in 5 separate little pockets. If you're really feeling retro, as you always have been able to, you'll have Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, and Red, Blue, and Yellow. You'll be able to trade between them always with a Game Boy Link cable and working Game Boys, as long as, as well you've got all the working games. This technology can be a little bit sensitive. The next group of games will actually be the biggest. Like I mentioned earlier, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire will always be able to transfer as far as Black and White too. This is because the technology needed to do this is all built into the games or into the consoles. By the time you get to Generation 6, you won't be able to transfer anything up, but you'll always be able to trade between Pokemon X and Y and Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. They will act as a kind of third pocket, a third universe in the world of Pokemon, but you won't be able to transfer between them with no Pokemon Bank. And these games, you can't trade to Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. You had to use Pokemon Bank. And speaking of which, Pokemon Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, you'll only be able to trade between them, making a 4th universe. And then Pokemon Home is anything onwards of Let's Go. Fun fact about this, I was having a chat with my friend PD Winnell, and he actually recognized a few things. Number one, if you want to get a complete Pokedex in this, first of all, there is no National Dex in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It was on Pokemon Bank, but you can get every Pokemon between these, apart from the Unknown. If you want to, when Pokemon Bank shuts down, make sure you've got Unknown already transferred to these, because if you ever want a living Pokedex in them for some reason, then yeah, you better get that sorted as soon as you can. Also, I don't know why you would ever play Sun and Moon over Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon like now. The only thing that's in here that's special is the cool Luzamine battle at the end. You've actually got more Pokemon in this, with more Ultra Beasts, but that's just my opinion. So that's 5 Pokemon universes if you also include the virtual console games, because you'll always be able to trade through local wireless between virtual console Gold, Silver, Crystal and Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow on virtual console, but you just won't be able to Poke-Transport them up. And so the questions I'm left thinking about and want to discuss with you about and really see your comments on are, what does this mean for Pokemon in the future? For example, right now I can trade my teams up continuously, but if in the future, if Pokemon Bank is gone and I want to do a Generation 3 run through and I want to just go through Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire or even Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, that team will never be able to join the others. It's just interesting to think about. Also things like my Pokemon Home Master Challenge, one of the reasons I've said you've got between now and Generation 9 to finish it is because by the time we're in Generation 9, it's only 3 years, but 3 to 5 years, we could well see the eShop and Pokemon Bank go down. Now, are there any solutions to this? Well, Pokemon may decide to invest in that longevity and people who are interested in playing older copies of older games, and they may decide to make a version of Pokemon Bank that is downloadable to the console. You'll still need to download it before the Nintendo 3DS eShop goes down, of course, but at least then you will have it. Pokemon as a company might decide to throw some love to the people who really cherish those older Pokemon, and also the people who like playing the retro games. And they might not want to get rid of what they've built with Virtual Console Pokemon being transferable up, and they might not want these games to be separated into different universes. So providing a downloadable version would be a really useful way to do this. The storage would obviously exist on your 3DS's SD card, and you would have to download it before the 3DS eShop goes down, because again, like my Pokemon Ranch, the moment that the eShop goes down, you can't download that thing anymore, but that would be a solution. Alternatively, they could update Pokemon Home in some way in the Switch, where you're able to connect to your 3DS in some way, but that would require you to be able to connect with generations 5, 6, 7, and the Virtual Console, and that seems like a lot more difficult, but we'll see. A few other alternatives, maybe if you can transfer your game files onto a micro SD rather than the SD card in the 3DS, you could put that into the Switch and you might be able to transfer if they add something later down the line, but again, I don't see that being likely. And the most likely thing, much like with the old online services for generations 4 and 5 and Pokemon Ranch, hackers will come along and provide a way for you to be able to do this. It'll be unofficial, and so, you know, I'm sure there will be casualties along the way where people try and transfer stuff and bugs are not ironed out, but there probably will be options there. All of this is to say, I can see it coming now. I feel like there's a controversy on the horizon. Maybe it's this year, maybe it's in 5 years, but I can feel it coming, and I just thought it was really interesting to think about. Personally, I will be a little bit gutted because I like playing the original Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald like pretty much yearly, and I'm pretty gutted to not have my teams all together, so I hope there is a solution. I hope they do decide to implement something like a downloadable version of Pokemon Bank. I think that would be really good. But in many ways, I also think it's really interesting. Like, I think we could see some interesting stuff happen. For example, right now, if you want to play competitive Pokemon, you transfer everything up to the latest game. Now, I can't see a lot of people just wanting to play the Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon metagame, or just the X and Y metagame, or just the Virtual Console metagame, though I guess that might happen. But I could absolutely see hardcore members of the community, and let me know if you would do this, wanting to play the Generation 5 metagame. I'm not much of a competitive battler, but I do remember thinking that that time for competitive was like a really good era, even with Landorus just doing all the things Landorus does. But Generation 3 to 5 is a big enough roster of games. Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Leaf Green, Fire Red, Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Black and White, and Black and White 2, plus Battle Revolution and Colosseum and XD and the Drachi you get from Channel. There's a big enough roster of stuff to work with here that I think some old school fans like myself might really enjoy filling out our Generation 5 Pokedexes and getting good competitive teams on those games. And just seeing Generations 3 to 5 as a complete experience. Right now, Pokemon is always an ongoing experience. Yes, we've got everything in Sword and Shield now, but what happens when the DLC comes out? What happens when the remakes come out or the next generation comes out? There's always something new to transfer to. I do think there could be something kind of interesting about a period of time where there is just these bubbles to work with. Also, I wonder how it'll affect me personally with Pokemon theorizing. Like, I can see the games in Generations 3 to 5 as one cohesive thing. And Generation 6, they started introducing this whole multiverse stuff, and by Generation 7, we were on to like all the Ultra Space stuff and more alternate universes. I don't know, I could actually see these bubbles acting as different universes being a very interesting way of approaching Pokemon theories. Anyway, I think I've rambled on enough about this topic. What do you think? Is this Pokemon's next big controversy? How would you feel about it if the servers do go down? Sorry, when the servers do go down, because they will eventually. What do you think Nintendo should do? Any and all thoughts you have, I want to hear them down in the comments. Thank you so much to those of you who are commenting, just leaving lovely things. It really makes my day. You're amazing. Pokemon Masters, thank you. I will see you all very, very soon. And of course, soar high, Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master.
And a massive thank you to those of you supporting me on Patreon, including the big patrons of the month, the Nerd Therapist and Gunnar Clovis. Thank you.